A few years ago, these were some of the most popular vehicles you could buy in America. Good-looking, well-reviewed, sold in huge numbers. People loved them when they were new, but something has been quietly happening to these same vehicles as they've aged. Something that doesn't show up when you're standing in a dealership looking at a shiny new model, and something most buyers don't find out about until they already own one. Repair and maintenance costs on certain vehicles have been climbing faster than almost anything else tied to car ownership. Parts shortages, more complex electronics, specialized components that only a handful of shops can even work on. And in some cases, manufacturers quietly discontinuing parts for older models, which sends prices on the remaining stock through the roof. Today we're looking at 5 vehicles where this is happening. Vehicles that were genuinely great when new, and in many cases still are great to drive, but where the cost of keeping them running has crept up in ways that catch a lot of owners off guard. This isn't about telling you these are bad cars. It's about making sure that if you already own one, or you're considering buying one used, you go in with your eyes open. Let's get into it. Part 1. Why this is happening now. Before we get to the list, it's worth understanding why this trend exists at all, because it's bigger than just a few unlucky models. Cars built over the last 15 years have become dramatically more complex than the cars before them. More sensors, more computer modules, more electronically controlled systems for things that used to be simple and mechanical. Suspension, steering, even basic engine functions. When everything works, this complexity is genuinely impressive. Smoother rides, better fuel economy, more safety features. But when something goes wrong, that same complexity often means a problem that used to be a $50 part and an hour of labor is now a specialized electronic module that costs hundreds of dollars and requires a dealership computer to even diagnose properly. On top of that, supply chains for older parts have gotten less predictable. Once a model is discontinued or a generation moves on, manufacturers produce fewer replacement parts. Less supply, same or growing demand from existing owners, and prices climb. It's simple economics, but it catches people off guard because the car itself hasn't changed. The cost of keeping it has. With that context, here's where we're seeing this play out most clearly right now. Part 2. The 5 vehicles. Number 1. Certain turbocharged 4-cylinder family sedans from the early 2010s. A wave of family sedans from this era moved away from larger 6-cylinder engines towards smaller turbocharged 4-cylinders, marketed as offering similar power with better fuel economy. And in terms of day-to-day driving, that promise mostly held up. The issue shows up later. Turbocharged engines run hotter and under more pressure than naturally aspirated ones, which means components like turbochargers themselves, intercoolers, and the various hoses and seals around them tend to wear out sooner than people expect, often somewhere in the 80 to 120,000 mile range. A turbocharger replacement on these engines can run well into 4 figures once you include labor. And because this was such a widely used engine across multiple models from the same manufacturer, owners coming due for this repair around the same mileage has created real demand spikes for these parts at independent shops. If you're looking at one of these sedans used, specifically ask about turbo-related work and get a mechanic to check for boost leaks or unusual exhaust smoke before buying. Number 2. Luxury crossover. SUVs with air suspension from the mid-2010s. Air suspension is one of those features that feels incredible when it's working. Smooth, adjustable ride height, a genuinely premium feel. The problem is what happens when the air suspension system starts to fail, which on certain mid-2010s luxury crossovers tends to happen right around the time these vehicles hit the used market in large numbers. Air suspension components, the compressor, the air springs themselves, and the various sensors that manage ride height are expensive individually, and they often fail as a group rather than one at a time. A full air suspension repair on some of these vehicles can run into multiple thousands of dollars, which on a used vehicle that might only be worth $15,000 or $20,000 to begin with, represents a massive percentage of the car's value. Some owners convert these vehicles to conventional coil spring suspension specifically to avoid repeat air suspension repairs, which tells you something about how owners who've been through this once tend to feel about doing it again. Number 3. Hybrid sedans with first and second generation battery packs. Hybrid technology from roughly 15 to 20 years ago was genuinely groundbreaking. But battery technology from that era simply doesn't last as long as the batteries going into hybrids and EVs today. Hybrid battery packs from this generation are now reaching the age where degradation becomes noticeable. Reduced fuel economy, the gas engine running more often than it should, or warning lights related to the hybrid system. A full hybrid battery replacement, depending on the model, can range from a couple $1,000s for a reconditioned pack to considerably more for a brand new one from the manufacturer. The good news here is that this is a known, predictable cost, and there's now a healthy market for reconditioned and aftermarket hybrid battery packs at lower prices than dealer replacements. But it's a cost that catches buyers off guard when they don't realize the original battery is approaching the end of its life when they purchase the car. Number 4. Diesel pickup trucks with early emissions control systems. We've touched on this one before on this channel, but it remains one of the clearest examples of this trend. Diesel trucks built to meet emissions regulations introduced in the mid-2000s came with new systems designed to reduce particulate emissions and nitrogen oxide output. These systems have developed reputations in repair shops for being expensive when they fail, and for failing more often than owners expect, sometimes requiring repairs that cost more than a comparable repair would on the engine itself. For trucks that are otherwise mechanically excellent and known for high mileage durability, this has become the single biggest wildcard cost for owners. If you're buying one of these trucks used specifically for its diesel longevity reputation, get the emission system specifically inspected. Not just a general pre-purchase inspection, but someone familiar with this exact system and its common failure points. Number 5. Compact luxury sedans with dual-clutch transmissions. Dual-clutch transmissions offer a genuinely great driving experience. Quick, responsive gear changes that feel sportier than a traditional automatic. Several compact luxury sedans from the mid-2000s adopted this transmission type to compete on driving feel. The issue is that these transmissions are sensitive to maintenance schedules and tend to be expensive to repair when problems develop, often requiring specialized fluid, specific diagnostic procedures, and in worst cases, a transmission replacement that can run into 5 figures on a car that may have a used value not much higher than that. For buyers considering one of these used, transmission service history is one of the most important things to check. And a transmission that's never had its fluid changed on schedule is a significant red flag, regardless of how the car drives in a short test drive. Final thoughts. None of these 5 vehicles are necessarily bad cars. In most cases, they were well-reviewed, popular, and genuinely enjoyable when new, and many owners never run into these issues at all. But if you already own one of these, knowing what to watch for means you can budget for it, catch problems early, and avoid surprises. And if you're shopping used and one of these fits what you're looking for, it doesn't mean walk away. It means get the specific system checked before you buy and factor potential future costs into your offer. The pattern across all 5 is the same. As cars get more complex, the parts that make them feel premium when new are often the same parts that get expensive when they age. Knowing which systems to watch lets you stay ahead of it instead of being surprised by it. If you found this useful, hit the like button and subscribe to AmericanRevHead for more honest breakdowns like this every week. Do you own one of these or something similar? Let us know in the comments what your experience has been. Until next time, drive smart and know what you're getting into before the bill shows up.